Yeah. Tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. What is good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel. We're talking all things boxing. And of course, remember to like, remember to subscribe to this channel. More content coming your way very shortly. And right now, I'm going to get into the big one. And that is the conclusion of Matchroom's fight camp presented by Eddie Hearn, where he's been having a series of weeks. So far, we've had 3 weeks of fight camp boxing in Eddie Hearn's back garden in his huge mansion. Matchroom's headquarters. And yeah, so this week we're going into the final week, week 4 of fight camp, and it's going to be headlined, the big fight that a lot of people looking forward to, the big boys, is going to be Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin. And one of the WBC trinkets is on the line for this fight. So there's a big stuff at stake here, because the winner of this fight will become the number one, the mandatory, well, I think Dillian Whyte already is in line really to fight the winner of Fury versus Wilder. But this is one of those fights whereby should he lose to Povetkin, then Povetkin becomes the man. Povetkin becomes the man that is in line next to fight the winner of Fury Wilder 3, if that fight happens. And that is another subject. But so this one here is a very important heavyweight scrap. I believe this is going to be very entertaining between Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin. For me personally, my prediction is I believe Dillian Whyte is going to take this one home on points, if you ask me. I don't think he'll be able to get Alexander Povetkin out of there. I think Povetkin is an older guy now. He is 40 years old now, I believe. And he's been through some battles. He's been through some wars. But he's a guy that he showed in his last fight against Michael Hunter that he still has it in him. He still has it in him to go to 12 rounds. I think where Dillian Whyte can possibly exploit him is with the in the latter rounds, where you could see in the Hunter fight where Hunter sort of set a hot pace for Povetkin, sort of rounds 1 through 3 and all the way to sort of the middle of the fight. Hunter slowed down a bit, but Povetkin most definitely slowed down that bit more, and I think he had more of his success in the second half of the fight. But you could see that Povetkin slowed down a bit. That will be due to obviously his age, and he's getting on a bit now. And I think for Dillian Whyte, I believe he wins it on points, as I've said. But for Dillian Whyte, in terms of what he's got to do here to win, I think he's got to use the jab effectively. I think he's maybe ever so slightly the sort of taller man. He's little bit taller. He's definitely got the longer reach out of the two guys. So for me, what I would want to see from Dillian Whyte is the use of a double jab. That's something that I believe will be effective, should I say, against Povetkin, because Povetkin likes to sort of set his feet. He likes to sort of swarm you, and he likes to get close to you. And I think for Dillian Whyte, he wants to hold the center of the ring, use a very authoritative jab, use a very heavy jab, a sharp jab, vary the jab to the head and the body, double the jab up, and sort of keep offsetting Povetkin. I think Dillian Whyte needs to try and keep Povetkin on the end of his punches, on the end of his sort of straight shots. And if he can do that and keep that up for the fight, then I think that's where he'll have a lot of his success. I think also Dillian Whyte uppercut is going to be an important shot. You know, if he can use his jab and then time Povetkin coming in and bring him onto some of these uppercuts, and of course that left hook. You know, I think if he can be watchful, you know, watching out for Povetkin's left hook and then land his own left hook. You know, I think there's multiple ways Dillian Whyte can win this fight, but I think for my money, I'd say definitely try and keep the fight a bit long. Use the jab effectively, double it up, triple it up, and try and keep Povetkin at bay. You know, keep Povetkin on the end of his long arms. You know, I think that's what I try and do. Use his length, use his long arms. You know, even use his legs a bit in this. Use his footwork a bit. You know, he doesn't have the fastest feet, but I think for Dillian Whyte, he's got to sort of make Povetkin work, you know, make Povetkin, maybe even make Povetkin chase him, and I think he's got to make the older fighter feel the pace, and you know, while sort of not exerting himself too much, because stamina-wise, I think Dillian Whyte, he's got decent stamina, but that's not his sort of top attribute. He can do the rounds, but he even himself tends to tire a bit, so I think he's got to really pace this fight and pace it very carefully. But yeah, I'd say keep Povetkin on the end of the punches, and you know, try and keep it long, and then try and bring him onto your left hooks and uppercuts and things like that. You know, I'd say when you're fighting a guy like Povetkin, you know, avoid sort of the wide swinging punches. You know, try and keep it tight, and try and keep sort of your defenses tight, and try and make sure that Povetkin doesn't have the chance to set himself. I think that's sort of how Dillian Whyte can win this one. I think for Povetkin, you know, again, he's got to use his attributes that he has. He's got to use, if I'm Povetkin, I'd be working on my head movement, bobbing and weaving. Again, there's the same with Dillian Whyte, you know, jabbing his way in and then sort of swarming Dillian Whyte, bringing your body shots. I would say if I was Povetkin, I'd work the body of Dillian Whyte. I think that could be somewhere where you know, that could pay dividends later in the fight. That could slow Dillian Whyte down. So I think for Povetkin, he's got to bob and weave, get in, and then try and come up with hooks, uppercuts. You know, basically get in Dillian Whyte's face, get on his chest, and keep sort of wailing away at him. I think that's sort of the way I would advise Povetkin to fight. But again, I think overall, Dillian Whyte is probably going to win this one. For me, that would be my pick. I think there are going to be shaky moments. There are going to be moments where, you know, there might be doubt. You know, it might look like Dillian Whyte's going to lose. I think this could be a fight where, as much as I'm picking Dillian Whyte, I do believe this is a fight where he could go down. He could get dropped at some point in this fight, much like, you know, I think this fight will probably follow a similar pattern to the Oscar Rivas fight. You know, I think this fight might follow a similar pattern where you see Dillian Whyte doing very well, taking home a lot of the rounds, but then possibly suffering a knockdown, possibly getting hurt and getting shaken and wobbled before coming back and sort of re-establishing himself in the fight. But that's, for me personally, that's what I see happening. I see Dillian Whyte sort of winning this on points. I think if Dillian Whyte did win this by KO, it would take me a little bit by surprise, because I think that's sort of unlikely. I think a guy like Povetkin is going to be a bit too wise and too sort of sensible, you know, too much of a sort of wily veteran who's been there, done it before. So I don't see him getting rid of him, but it's a possibility. I'd say it's a possibility, but a slim one. I think most likely scenario, Dillian Whyte comes through shaky moments and comes away with a victory on points. But he's going to have to fight hard for this, and he's going to have to work his socks off, and really he's going to have to basically be punch perfect in this fight. You know, he's going to have to be at his absolute best, because Povetkin is a wily veteran, And again, he's a guy that is coming for the upset, coming to beat the home guy. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Povetkin versus Whyte, or Whyte versus Povetkin. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism, over and out.